Monday, still Monday, August 16th, 2010. We said the pledge already, so I think we'll go right into the meeting. I ask Clerk Spencer to call the roll, please. Establish a quorum.
Gutenkopf. Here. Pezza.
Here.
Shea.
Here.
Leader.
Here.
Rose, absent. Graham.
Here.
Tipskin. Here. York.
Here.
Nybo.
Here.
Healy.
Here.
Morley.
Here.
Kennedy.
Here.
Mulliner.
Here.
Wagner.
Here.
13 present, 1 absent.
13 present, 1 absent. We officially have a quorum. I'd ask at this time if there is any written communications and or petitions from the public. If there are, please present those to Clerk Spencer at this time. Seeing none, I go on the public forum. I refer that to Clerk Spencer, please.
We don't have anyone for public forum this evening, Mayor.
It's beautiful. On to item 4, our consent agenda. At this time, I'd ask for a motion and a second to approve the contents of our consent agenda in its entirety. If there's anybody who wants to pull anything, have a question, I would ask if you're going to make a comment on something and not really, acknowledge, let's do that under other business. But if there is a sincere question or possibly a no vote on an item, please let me know, and I'll go ahead and pull that at this time. Alderman Pezza.
Item O.
Item O. Very good. Okay. Any other items? All righty. Hearing none, I'd ask for a motion and a second to approve the contents of the consent agenda, less item O. Alderman Healy with a motion, Alderman Morley seconds, and I ask Clerk Spencer to call the roll, please.
Healy.
Aye.
Mulliner.
Aye.
Wagner.
Wait, that's not Morley. Sorry, Morley seconded.
It was Morley?
Aye.
He's in disguise today.
Remember, no laughing, sportsmanlike conduct.
That's right.
Okay,
Drink beer off and
Morley.
Aye.
Kennedy.
Aye.
Mulliner.
Aye.
Wagner.
Aye.
Gutenkopf.
Aye.
Pezza.
Aye.
Shea.
Aye.
Leader.
Aye.
Rose, absent. Graham.
Aye.
Tipskin.
Aye.
York.
Aye.
Nybo.
Aye.
13 ayes, 0 nays, 1 absent.
13 ayes, 0 nays, 1 absent. The consent agenda passes in entirety, less item O. And at this time, I ask Clerk Spencer to read item O. It's an ordinance. Clerk Spencer, take it away.
An ordinance vacating portions of the Fulmore Street, Harvard Street, and Kirk Avenue rights of way.
And at this time, I ask for a motion and a second to put this particular ordinance on the floor, please. Alderman Pezza with a motion, second by Alderman Mulliner, and discussion. Alderman Pezza?
Yes, thanks. Just quickly, I did not pull this to actually vote against it or anything. I pulled it for 2 reasons. Number one, I did not believe it should have been on the actual consent agenda since it takes a supermajority 3/4 vote, and I felt therefore it should be voted on separately. Plus, if you look at our municipal code, number 207, it states that when we are transferring land, city property, that it requires the concurrence of 3/4 of all the corporate authorities of the city. And when you look at the definition of corporate authorities, it is the mayor and aldermen. So I just want to be sure we vote on this properly, because it outlines that it needs 3/4 vote, which would mean we all 15 should vote to get a vote. Well, 12 out of 15 would be the 3/4, but I want to just make sure we did this properly. That was the other reason.
Okay, very good. This already did pass out a report, so that's why it probably was on the consent agenda. So, any other questions or discussions? Here, Alderman Nybo?
Well, is that 11 votes or 12 votes to pass?
It's 12.
It's 12, I believe. 3/4 of 15 is 11. Is 11 point something. So I think it's going to need 12. I did this math
It's correct.
a few days ago, but I think I'm correct.
But it would have been fine if we voted it on...
Well, if it was on the consent agenda, of course, it had to be voted unanimously to be approved. But as Alderman Pezza said, it does need a 3/4 vote. But of course, it would have gotten a unanimous vote if you all voted on it on the consent agenda.
But it wouldn't have been 15, which it states has to be the corporate authority included.
Oh, but it doesn't need to be. It doesn't need 15 votes.
Well, it needs the mayor, it states. That's why I wanted to make sure we did it right.
If we need to go to 12, then I would vote, I guess. If
No, I think it just, we all have to vote. Everybody here tonight has to vote, including the mayor. That was my point. And on the consent agenda, you don't. I just wanted to make sure we followed our code.
Is that the case, City Attorney, sir? I don't
Don't
believe
think
so. I believe it's...
I think
If I
what it's
needed, I
intended
could
to
vote,
say
but
is
I-
that 3/4 of the corporate authorities, but that's only for calculation purposes. I keep turning my back, and Alderman Bram doesn't like me doing that, so I have to speak into the microphone. It's only for calculation purposes that, pointing out to you all that it needs a 3/4 vote, but it doesn't require the mayor to vote. He only gets to vote in those circumstances where he's required to vote because his vote counts in the supermajority. But here, if you don't need his vote in the supermajority, he doesn't have, he can't vote under your code.
Okay, because it says require the concurrence of 3/4 of all the corporate authorities of the city. And our code says the corporate authorities is the elected mayor and aldermen shall constitute as the corporate authorities. So I just want to make sure we were following code.
Very good.
Point of order.
Yeah.
Let's just be clear on this so we don't have this again. It's my understanding what the city attorney is saying, and also our parliamentarian, is that a unanimous vote on the consent agenda would satisfy every bit of the code that Alderman Pezza read. Regardless of whether the mayor votes or not. 14 out of 15 of the corporate authority would have voted yes, a unanimous vote.
It would have met 12.
Right.
And that was the only point I was making, and that's the way I've always done it, and the way I've read the code, but, you know, it's my opinion the mayor does not have to vote.
Okay.
If it was on the consent agenda and received those 14 votes.
Very good. Alderman Mulliner, and then I'll go to Alderman Gutenkopf, and hopefully we can...
Just to follow up on that, if it had ended up 11, then the mayor could vote to bring it over to the 12.
Correct.
And it probably was appropriate to pull it off of the consent agenda because of the fact that it does.
Yeah, I'm not saying
I
it
mean,
wasn't appropriate.
he does not have to vote, the mayor does not have to vote unless we're at 11. If we're at 11, then that would be a necessity in order to get us over the 75.
For the record, I'd be happy to vote. Alderman Gutenkopf?
Yes, I guess my question is it required by state law that the mayor, that a vote greater than a majority of the corporate authority vote on this issue? And the reason I ask that is because our code says the mayor shall not vote on any ordinance, resolution, or motion except, I'll skip the first two, point 3, where a vote greater than a majority of the corporate authorities is required by state law to adopt an ordinance, resolution, or motion. In each instance specified, the mayor shall vote.
I know it, I understand exactly what you read, but that's if his vote is needed. If his vote is not needed, to get to that supermajority, he does not vote. And I'll be happy to look at that more carefully, but that's my opinion.
Thank you, City Attorney Storino.
Could you just clarify that for me one more time? I'm sorry, because this says that the mayor shall vote where a vote greater than a majority is required by state law to adopt an ordinance. It doesn't say where the mayor's vote makes it a majority.
But the effect of it is, if there are already sufficient votes on a supermajority to approve the matter, it doesn't require his vote. I mean, it will not do harm to call the mayor, but I don't think that it's required.
Okay.
And the mayor's already indicated that he'd like to vote, so I think we should call him.
Very good. Any other questions, discussion? Clerk Spencer, please call the roll, please.
Pezza.
Aye.
Mulliner.
Aye.
Wagner.
Aye.
Gutenkopf.
Aye.
Shea.
Aye.
Leader.
Aye.
Rose, absent. Bram.
Aye.
Hipskin.
Aye.
York.
Aye.
Nybo.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Morley.
Aye.
Kennedy.
Aye.
Mayor.
I would officially be down for an aye, thank you.
Aye.
Aye. I'm glad it's not a sidewalk issue, too.
14 ayes, 0 nays, and 1 absent.
14 ayes, 0 nays, 1 absent. The motion passes. The ordinance passes. On to item 5, committee reports. I would ask Clerk Spencer to read
So,
the...
point of order. I want to bring up, as I brought up in the committee of the whole, and I'm directing this at the city attorney, the legitimacy of having this under committee reports when there was no referral by city council, there's no report written. So I would like to get his legal and professional opinion on having this as part of the city council agenda for this evening.
I don't think, nothing I could find, and I've read through this, and I'll ask either any of the longstanding parliamentarians of this body to correct me, but I do not see where it prohibits a report that comes from the Committee of the Whole that's been properly posted on our agenda. You may choose not to act on it tonight. You clearly can choose not to act on it. But if you don't put it on your agenda, you're prohibited from acting on it. So I think the thought process was that if it came out of committee and it had a positive vote, that the only way you could take any action, I was asked, is what way could you take action? I said only if you call it out on your agenda. And I could not find anything. And again, I'll stand corrected if you find something in your code that prohibits it, but I could not find anything.
I don't see anything that allows it or prohibits it, but, I mean, coming into this meeting, the discussion topic was not specific to any one issue, and I apologize because it is getting late, but, so therefore, even the heading of this referral, or this report, says motion to allocate funds to the overhead sewer program. That was not on a part of the Committee of the Whole agenda. The Committee of the Whole agenda made reference to the overhead sewer installations, true, but I, in my 11 years, have never, or 9 years, have never experienced where we make a decision in Committee of the Whole without any report, and then it follows up on the agenda. It happens to be on the agenda before we even make a decision in a prior committee meeting.
Thank you, Alderman Brown. Alderman Healy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm the one that asked to put this on the agenda, assuming that a decision would have been reached during the Committee of the Whole, either for or against, and maybe it's because I'm a rookie, but it's my understanding that if we take a vote to suspend the rules, that we can accept or reject whatever committee report would have come out of Committee of the Whole, and that was what my plan was to do tonight, is to make a decision during Committee of the Whole and then affirm that decision during the council. So I was going to move to suspend the rules in order to discuss this at council tonight.
Thank you, Alderman. Any other discussion? Alderman Morley.
I'd ask our parliamentarian if that motion is in order.
Yeah.
City Attorney Serino, is that motion in order to suspend rules to vote on this?
Certainly that would solve any other
And is it even necessary?
any problem or infirmity that we found, but I'm not even certain that unless another alderman had a provision in the code that they wanted to cite to and utilize, I don't even know that that's necessary. I mean, I can speak to this. It is under the clear case law in Illinois, you can deal with this matter because it is properly before your committee more than 48 hours and it's been called out. And that there's no question in my mind but that is proper. Under your own rules, if you wanted to suspend the rules, I don't even know that you need to do that unless you could point to me to some provision where somebody was utilizing a procedure or a parliamentary procedure. But otherwise, I guess by doing that, by suspending your rules, you're certainly clearing the way, so to speak, for this, under your own rules.
So no need to suspend rules at this point.
Unless some alderman wants to call out an issue that requires a suspension of rules.
Yes.
I just want to clarify. So, in the city attorney's opinion, even though it is rather unique to see a motion on the report, or on the agenda, the fact that it was on the agenda 48 hours prior to this meeting, it was published on Thursday or whatever it was, in your opinion, satisfies the legal requirement, Open Meetings Act or whatever it is, for us to at least discuss it.
And appropriately have it on your agenda, yes.
Okay.
No one can challenge that. I guess, as I'm sitting here thinking this through, you know, I haven't been here for 11 years, or a little more than 1 year. So I can't speak to those of you that have been here much longer, and if it's not your customary practice and you wanted to clear the way, so to speak, I guess a motion to suspend your rules would be in order. But I don't see a rule that I saw in your code, and I'd be happy to be corrected, called out to me, says you can't do this.
Very good. In light of that, then, if you don't need to suspend rules, I ask for a motion in a second to put this on the floor, please. Alderman Healy, followed by Alderman Wagner.
Point of order.
Discussion.
The discussion.
There's a motion, there's a motion and a second on the floor, and we have discussion.
Point of order, you can say after a motion.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
What's the motion?
We have a motion and a second. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yes, and I'm making a point of order,
Go
which
ahead.
there's nothing wrong with that either.
Okay, okay.
Because I wasn't concluded with the debate or with the discussion at hand.
You didn't have the floor, sir. Alderman.
Point of order. My question here is from the standpoint of Alderman Healy made the statement that he made the request to put this under committee reports. To my understanding is you actually need a committee report to put it under committee reports. So therefore, prior to the meeting, there was no committee report to put under committee reports until an hour ago there was a motion. So how is that, and I'm looking for words here, legitimate, when there is no committee report to be put under committee reports? And it's supposed to be a majority report or a minority report, and it is neither. It is one alderman's request to put this committee report that to me didn't exist under the committee reports agenda item.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderman Healy?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Is the city attorney not going to comment?
I have been on the council long enough to know that I believe twice out of the DPZ committee, on the same night of council meeting, the DPZs issued a committee report, and then we discussed it that evening with the suspension of the rules. I don't understand how this would be any different.
Alderman Nybo.
I'm not even sure you need to suspend the rules to consider this. We usually suspend the rules to adopt an ordinance when we adopt a committee report that same evening. But with the agenda, the city manager, I'm just looking at the code, I only looked at it pretty quickly, but the city manager has pretty broad discretion as to what he wants, what he can put on the agenda. The only limitation is that it must be presented to the city manager in writing prior to 9 a.m. Thursday. And then the city manager, you know, there's nothing else restricting the city manager's exercise of discretion as to what he wants to put on the agenda. There's also a provision in 2.06. If you look at Alderman Bram, since you seem very interested in this, it's 2.06 Section A7, reports of committees. There's reports of standing committees, reports of special committees, and then there's a third provision. Any ordinance, resolution, or other action resulting from the aforesaid committee reports. So it definitely contemplates reports other than what we typically see, which are pretty much, for the most part, unanimous committee reports. So there's definitely a broad exercise of discretion from the city manager as to what is on the agenda. And as respecting reports of committees, there's a broad array of types of reports that could be presented as coming out of a committee. So I don't think we're confined to what we routinely see in this body.
Very good. I think the city attorney already cleared up the clarifications on if it's right to do, if we need to suspend rules, et cetera. We have a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any discussion on the issue itself? Alderman Mulliner?
Yes. Due to the fact that I would like to read a minority report, I'm making a motion to defer this report to the next city council meeting.
Alderman Gutenkopf.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to defer.
Non-debatable.
Non-debatable.
Is it non-debatable? It's skipable.
I'll refer to the parliamentarian.
As Alderman Mulliner knows ever so well, that motion is entirely in order and may defer without debate to the next regular meeting of the council after the report is made. A deferral of this nature can only be made at one time only. So, unless you suspend Rule II of reports and committees, that's a totally appropriate motion and is deferred to the next meeting of the council.
All righty.
Point of order? Do we vote on it, Don? Are you saying we don't vote on this?
Non-debatable?
Non-debatable, you'd have to suspend the rule. I think you have the right under double H to suspend the rules, which would require a temporary suspending of that section that Alderman Mulliner has referred to, which is double I, and that would take a 3/4 vote of the aldermen to suspend of the aldermen present to suspend that rule.
Very good. Okay. This item will be deferred to the next meeting, and,
Hold on, point of order?
yeah,
Point of
Alderman
clarification.
Nybel.
That means any time that two members decide that they want to postpone something they can automatically, without taking a vote on it.
That is correct.
Under your rules, that's correct.
So for the record, Alderman Mulliner, Alderman Gutenkopf with this defer motion in a second. We are deferring that, so that motion is unfortunately, will be called, I guess, at the next council meeting, correct?
Correct.
Very good, okay. And on to item 6, reports and recommendations of appointed elected officials. I'll make my reports relatively brief here. As a recap, we've got a lot going on with stormwater. We have, we're waiting for our declaration from FEMA to declare the 12-county region and the state of Illinois a federal disaster area. That will open up the door for funds for residents, for constituents to hopefully help their infrastructure, low-interest loans, help for infrastructure for the city, help to recoup costs that we've expended with cleanup, all the garbage pickup that we've done, all the overtime we've put in, et cetera, that would all qualify for FEMA funds. So I met with Alderman Mulliner. Have a nice night. Sorry, we're not adjourned yet, but Alderman Mulliner?
Hey, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.
Are you finished? Oh.
Huh? Yeah. Anyway, so if people are going to leave the council, they have to be excused. They just can't get up and leave. I'm sorry. We'll keep everybody informed on the website with what's happening. Access to funding, access to resources will all be kept on the website, updated almost daily as we have been. So that's it for me. I think it's more strong than ever that we need an advocate in Springfield, Washington, at both counties to go out and bring in dollars, because otherwise it's going to be on us. And there are dollars out there for infrastructure. So I again talk about Downers Grove. I saw in the referral $8 million they secured through an advocate, professional advocate. So I reiterate that as a concern that I have. I think we need somebody that can help us at all those levels. We've got a lot of projects that we need help with. So with that, we go to Alderman Gutenkopf.
Just an announcement, are we?
We're actually going to other business. Any other business? Okay. Announcements. Go ahead, Alderman.
Thank you. For anybody who's still watching this meeting, August 25th, from 6:30 to 8:30, Alderman Pezza and I are hosting a First Ward Town Hall meeting at the Elmhurst Public Library. We're meeting in Meeting Room 2. That's on the 25th.
And Alderman Nybel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Likewise, again, if anybody is still watching, Alderman Healy and I are having a town hall meeting this Thursday, and Fifth Ward residents get to look forward to a variety of information and forms about the recent flooding events that we're going to provide for them, because Alderman Healy and I care about doing something to address these issues, and this is one small step that we can take to begin addressing these very important issues that require our attention.
Thank you, Alderman Nybel. Well said, I think. Alderman Brown, and then Alderman Kennedy, please.
Thank you. I just want to, I guess, shed a little bit of positivity here. In the Tribune this past Sunday, there was a short article in the ride section. The title was, "After a Flat June, Auto Sales Pick Up in July." So not saying that this is our savior by any means, but it was good to see something positive, and especially our dependency on auto sales, to see that there is possibly a light at the end of the tunnel.
Alderman Kennedy?
To follow in the footsteps of Alderman Nybo and Healy, Alderman Morley and I will also be doing a 6th Ward meeting because of obviously a lot of people in our ward were affected by the flooding. We're going to do that on Thursday, September 2nd. We're going to figure out a venue. We're actually going to see how you guys do later on this week to see if that's a good place, the Knights Columbus Hall, or whatever else works in the ward. So we'll be back and communicate to the folks in the neighborhoods to let them know when exactly that's going to be and where it will be.
All right, Alderman Nybo, and I'll go to Alderman
Thank you, Mr.
Morley.
Mayor. Again, in my excitement about meeting with the residents of the 5th Ward, I forgot to mention that our meeting is 7 p.m. at the Knights of Columbus Hall this Thursday, so if they're still watching.
Alderman Morley. I like the new look, by the way. It looks good.
Thanks. If you are still listening at this late at night, both Alderman Kennedy and I obviously have emails on the city website. If you would like to attend, we already have a very generous email list, but if for some reason you haven't been getting announcements from the 6th Ward, go on the website, send us a quick email. We'll make sure you're informed about the upcoming meeting.
Anybody else? I ask for a motion to adjourn. Alderman Morley, Alderman Hipskin. All in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.